Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to be doing an earring for you today, which I am calling the Sunset Earring. I love the different colors that are going along, and they use our exclusive beads, our RounTrios and our RounDuos. And we'll be making these with some seed beads as well. If you need any of the materials to do the sunset earrings, up in the corner there's a little eye if you take your mouse over there, which has information from us, the video creators, with links to the different products that you can order from us online. In addition to that, if you don't see that little button or you want some more information, below the video is always a date that says when the video was created and has some information from us as well. Check that out, and you can press the show more button at the very bottom or the little down arrows if they're there, and I'll give you links to all of these different products as well. So if you want to make the fun sunset earrings, you can follow along and get your materials with us at PotomacBeads.com. If you do want to follow along, you're going to need some RounTrio beads and some RounDuo beads. In the center of the earring are the RounTrios. You'll need 2 RounTrios, and I'm using the Aztec gold color of the RounTrio bead. In addition to the RounTrio, you're going to need 8 RounDuo beads per earring, so 16 RounDuos in all. The RounDuo color that I'm going to be using is the Jade color of the RounDuos. In addition to the RounDuo and the RounTrio, I have 3 sizes of seed beads. I have 15 O's, 11 O's, and 8 O seed beads. For the 11 O's, I decided to use 2 different colors just to bring in some of the green in the central color. I also have another design that kind of uses the same colors that I wanted to make some earrings to match a bracelet that I had done previously, so I decided to use all these colors together. I'm going to be using the 8 O's in a very popular color that I use a lot, which is the silver lined dark Topaz AB. The 11 O's are going to be the matte metallic Patina iris in the green color, as well as the vintage copper in the 11O, which is a check coating on the Miyuki seed beads. And then for the 15O, I'm using the Opaque smoke gray luster. All of these beads are the Miyuki brand, but you can also do Toho or other brands as well. A lot of times the fit's just going to be a tiny bit different, so keep that in mind if you are using a different brand of the seed beads. Other than my beads, I need 2 of my ear wires in order to put my sunsets on to actual ear wires. And I'm also using some 0.006 green wildfire beading thread, along with a size 10 beading needle. You're going to need about 4 feet of thread per earring, and you can easily thread your needle by taking a needle nose pliers and kind of pinching down on the end of the thread, which will then make it easier to thread your needle. I also like to have a thread zap handy or a thread burner to burn down the edges of my thread, as well as to get my thread off my spool. You may want a nice workable surface like a bead mat or a bead on it board to work and create kind of these addicting earrings. So to get started on our sunset earrings, go ahead and get about 4 feet of thread onto your beading needle and make little piles of all of your beads so we can easily access and work with them to create our second matching earring. So the first thing I'm doing to get started is putting a stop bead or a bead that's going to come off the project onto my needle, leaving about a 2-inch tail and sewing back through that bead 2 times. This bead is another bead that I had towards the back of my bead mat that was used on one of my other projects that's not going to be included in this one. You're going to pick up your RounTrio, which is going to be the center point of our earring, and sew through one of the outer holes of the RounTrio bead. From there, pick up 3 of the metallic iris beads and sew from the first hole on the exterior to the end hole on the exterior of the RounTrio. What that is going to do is put those 3 beads right along the side. From there, add 5 of your same color seed beads And we're going to go from the outer hole here back around through the same hole, bringing the thread around in a circle. What that's going to do is put those 5 seed beads right along the side of the round trio. From there, you're coming out the same hole, add 3 more of your 11s, and sew into the first hole of the round trio right near the stop bead. Pull those 3 beads along the side, which is going to cover up the side of the round trio. From there, we have 5 more to add on to make our round trio look like it's bezel set. With the thread coming out of the last hole of the round trio, sew back into that same hole, which is going to decorate the whole entire outside of the project, or of the round trio, in seed beads. We want to pull those tighter and closer so that they look like they're exactly right on the actual round trio. To do so, with your thread and needle coming out of one of those holes of the round trio, go ahead and sew through that entire row of seed beads, picking up the groups of 3 and the group of 5 and going the whole way around the circle. So this is going to add another thread through each of these seed beads. Coming around, then it'll connect them to make them fit a lot closer. Give a nice tight pull and you can see that kind of fits perfectly right around the round trio. It almost looks like the center of a flower too. From here, we're going to do a little peyote stitch. To do the peyote stitch, we're going to be working now with our copper color of our beads. In addition to the copper, we're also going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead. If you don't know peyote stitch, you might want to pause and check out one of our other videos on peyote stitch, or just follow along and pause the video if you need to. When I'm coming out of a bead along that central row, I'm going to skip a bead and sew into the 3rd bead in line. Before I do so, I want to add an 11 and a 15, switching to the copper color of the 11. Skip the next bead in line and sew through the 3rd bead. Coming out the 3rd bead, add an 11 and a 15, skip the next one in line, and sew through the 5th bead. Again, copper and gray, sew through the 7th bead. So we're sewing through the odd number beads, adding an 11 and a 15 on our needle before sewing through the next bead in line. Go ahead and continue this peyote stitch, skipping a bead and sewing through the whole way around the round trio. Following along then, I have one more to add after this to complete the round trio, which is going to give you 8 groupings of the seed bead 15-0 mix. From there, as you finish your first time around, so I have my last beads to add, I'm going into the first 11-0 seed bead that my thread was coming out of. And that's going to finish that first little burst of my sunset. From there, I'm going to do what's called a step up to increase to the next row of the peyote stitch. To step up, I'm going to sew through the first group that I added in that exterior row of peyote. So I'm going to sew through the 11 and the 15-0 that I added at the very start of that row. From here, I'm going to do peyote stitch, treating the 11 and the 15 as if they're one bead. Add an 8-0 onto your needle and sew through the 11 and the 15. From there, continue around, adding in 8 of the 8-0 seed beads between the groupings of 11 and 15. So it's just a peyote stitch, simple peyote stitch that we're doing. Sewing through the 11 and the 15 and adding an 8. As I come the whole way around in the project, I want to make sure that I have 8 beads in place. If you don't have 8 8-0s on at the end, then somehow on your first row of peyote with the copper and the 15, you missed adding one. As we finish up the 8, we're going to do another step up. So I'm going to go back through the copper and the 15 that my thread were originally coming out of, and I'm stepping up through the first 8-0 seed bead that I put on the line. Give a nice little yank, and that'll pull those 8-0s in towards the center and make it nice and tight, so when you're looking at the center of this sunset, it's nice and tight along. From here we get to add in our round trios. Round duos around the round trio. To add in the round duos, we're going to do it just like peyote stitch, adding a 15, a round duo, and a 15 between each of our 8-0 seed beads. The round duos, if you're unfamiliar with them, they have 2 holes. It's not going to matter which hole you're picking up. You just want to make sure that you have those 15-0s on either side of the bead. So the 15s go on, a round duo goes on, and another 15 goes on. The round duos are going to sit a little bit off the 8-0s and stick out a little bit. Continuing around, then you're going to end up, because we're doing that same peyote stitch, using 8 of the round duo beads in between the 8-0 seed beads. Coming around, then we'll add in the last couple beads. And as I add in my final round duo, you can kind of push your stop bead to the back. I'll add in my final round duo, and then we're going to step up again. I'm going to go through the 8-0, the 15-0, and the round duo bead that I put on first. Because this is a 2-hole bead, I'm going to step up in a little bit different manner. So I have the center now of my pretty sunset that I'm working on. To step up, I'm going to take my thread and needle from the bottom hole of that first round duo bead to the top hole. Because I'm using green thread, I'm not going to see it at all. From here, I'm going to go in and add basically another pass around, almost in that same peyote stitch style, adding beads between this last row sticking up. The beads that I'm going to add are going to be 2 of my 15s and 1 8, followed by 2 15s, and then I'm going to sew into my next round trio bead, or round duo bead. From there, again, 2 of my 8s will get added, or 2 of my 15s will get added, then an 8, and then 2 15s, and around. So this goes the whole way around now, adding in my 8 seed beads with the 2 15s on each side. And you don't want to pull too tight because it can kind of cause some arching to go along. But the measurement is pretty great that you don't need to worry about it kind of puckering because it is a little bit bigger of an earring to wear, but it'll keep it shaped nicely. So going around just like we've been, adding in a group of 8 new beads. So this time it's my 8s with the 15s on the side. From here, I'm going to go back through that first seed bead, or first RounDuo bead, as well as my first grouping of seed beads that I put on. At this point, if you would want to, you could actually stop and be finished with the design and have it be a smaller earring. That's kind of up to you. I really like the points and the design of the points, and I like the colors of it. It reminds me of a cruise, sunset on a cruise. And now we're going to go in and add that copper to the outside to get my rays of my sun. To do so, you're going to pick up 4 seed beads in the copper color and sew along that last outer edge of beads that you added. So you're basically skipping over the RounDuos, sewing around, adding in 4 beads. I'm going to go the whole way along the outer edge, adding in those 4 beads in the copper color. Which is going to kind of connect everything. You can see this keeps it more rounded. We still have one more pass to do around the outer edge, and what that's going to do is give us our nice points. So I have my 4 beads that we're using right along this outer edge. And sewing right along. From here, I'll finish up adding in my final point, and then what I'll do is go around one more time, and as we go around the final time now, what we're going to do is we are going to add in our little final peak. So to add in our final peak, you're sewing back through the seed beads along the side here. You're going to sew through 2 of the copper beads, and as you come out the first 2 copper beads, you're going to add a 3rd copper bead before sewing back into the next 2. So then through the 11 or the 15 and the 8 along the sides, and what that's going to do is create a nice point. After you come through the 15 and the 8, you're going to want to sew up through the next 2 copper 11s, add another copper 11, and then sew down through the next 2 coppers. That gives that nice point. Sew over to the next grouping of copper through the 15s and the 8s, up through the first 2 copper beads, which is going to split them into 2 groups of 2, add a copper 11, and sew down the 2 copper on the other side, and at the same time, if you can, sew through the 15s and the 8s. I like to try to sew through it all at the same time, then it's less work to go in and try to kind of wiggle your needle in. So I have 3 of my 8 peaks done. I'm going to go in and sew around and finish up my peaks to get my little sunset rays. As I add in my last 11 copper bead and get my final point, I'm taking my thread and needle over to the first point that I added. And what I'm going to do there then is create my loop for my ear wire to sit in. These would also be really pretty on a post that you could sew right around the back of the RounTrio to a post, and they would sit a little bit higher. When you're coming out your central peak, you're going to go ahead and add in your seed beads here. The amount of seed beads that you use are going to be determined by what type of finding that you put it on. I'm going to put on 8 seed beads, and these are my 15 O's. And so back through that same 11 O in a circle to make my loop there. From there, what I did just to kind of add a little bit of dimension is I liked the 15 O's on the side of my round trio in the middle. To get back to the middle, take your thread and needle, and you're retracing basically part of your peyote stitch that you did, coming out here and kind of zigzagging back towards center. If you want, you could have also gone through and done one more loop around with your thread to reinforce your thread. From here, I'm going to sew through my RounDuo bead. So I'm just getting my thread and needle back to center, sewing through my RounDuo, reversing from my outer hole to the inner hole of the RounDuo. Coming down, then I'll go through some of the seed beads here along the edge, going back through that peyote stitch. You can see I'm just going right on an angle, making sure that I don't see any of my thread exposed. And as I work my way then back to my center, I'm going to add my seed beads right along the side. So I'm working my way back to center. And when I get near the center, I want to make sure that I am parallel to my loop. I'm going to be adding 5 15 O's along the sides of my round trio. To do so, I want to make sure to sew through the holes of the round trio so my thread and needle are coming out of the round trio. From there, I'm going to add my 5 seed beads in my 15 O, and so back through that same hole of the round trio, which are going to put those 5 seed beads right along that outer edge. From there, take your thread and needle from the first hole of the round trio to the third hole of the round trio. You won't really see the thread, especially with those green seed beads there. Add 5 more of your 15s, and so back through that same hole of the round trio bead, having your thread and needle exit towards the very back of the round trio. If you want to, you can decorate the middle with the 15 O's the whole way around. I liked them just on the sides there, just to add a tiny bit of dimension to the middle of my sunset. When you get to the back then, the awesome thing is you're right next to your stop bead. So from there, you're just going to take that stop bead off, tie a knot. This is the awesome thing about earrings. And just that quickly, with only about 1 minute off camera for this whole earring, the whole earring is finished. Once you learn how to do it too, and I'm not explaining how to do it, it goes even quicker. Once you have the knots there to the back of the earring, go ahead and burn down the thread ends, burning them down then each little end nice and flush against the project, making sure not to burn through the knot. And you have your second earring done for our nice sunset earrings. Grab whatever type of ear wire you want then, open it up, and put it through the loop at the top that you created. Then close up the ear wire, and your sunset earrings are ready to go. I really like these earrings. They're kind of a fun. I was just sitting around playing with seed beads, and I really love the way that the colors turned out too. But you can have all different ideas in my mind that you could do these and make them more web looked than actual sunset. You could do them in brighter colors and make them look like flowers. But I like the dimension that is created by the multiple holes of the RounDuo and the RounTrio there in the middle. Again, if you need any of the materials to do these sunset earrings, you can go back to the beginning of the video to where I listed it for you, or the little eye in the corner, or the little description below the video. Check those all out, but you can purchase everything from us at PotomacBeads.com. If you like this video, want to get regular updates on different projects that we do, different beads that we produce, as well as info on what's going on in the beading world, you can always subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can invite friends to watch the YouTube channel and share the link for me as well. You can also stay connected with us at PotomacBeads.com, on Instagram, and also on Facebook. You can check us out also on Facebook in our closed Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Show off your stuff and what you make. Have a wonderful interaction with a great group of people that love to help, give inspiration, and really are passionate about making jewelry as well. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching this fun and quick tutorial, and enjoy making your countless pairs of your sunset earrings.